is up, App Nation? Welcome to the fam. It is Fridays with App Masters, and it's also the fam because we are a community here of app entrepreneurs, app founders, people in the app marketing space who want to really grow their downloads and, more importantly, those revenues. And today I'm super excited because we have one of the big wigs in the app marketing or in the app space from data.ai, formerly App Annie. And we're going to talk all about their state of mobile report that they just released. And these are the marketing insights that you need to know to be successful in 2022. And joining me today is Gabrielle Bikker. She is the marketing insights at data.ai. Formerly, you guys all know them as App Annie. Gabrielle, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Excited to be here.
So I've got the insights up on this so we can share any of the slides. And I recommend definitely you guys go check it out as well. But Gabrielle, what really stood out to you when you guys were compiling this report and you got to see the report for the very first time?
Yeah, so this report was awesome to work on. My team specifically, I work on the insights team, and we're responsible for kind of putting together a lot of these reports. And our biggest one, of course, is the state of mobile. So this year we went even bigger. We did, came up with some really great insights across a lot of industries. And there are so many that stand out. It's hard to pick just a few, but to me, I think the ones that are the most interesting were there's a lot of change in food and drink and in dating. It was interesting to see how everything progressed from the pandemic, especially, there were a lot of ideas of how those would play out, but what actually ended up happening was growth all around across pretty much every stage of mobile. So a lot of different regional success as well, but there's a lot of exciting stuff.
One of the here, I'll pull up this report too. We can go through it together. But one of the things I really loved about it was you guys had this one slide where it was like the most searched iOS keyword terms. And you get to really see how the pandemic has really affected us. You got Zoom, job, a lot of Zoom, Microsoft Teams, and surprising PDF scanner still pretty huge, because I know a lot of people who have submitted apps either for us to take a look at through this live stream or just clients we've worked with. They have a lot of this PDF scanner apps. So this is a really cool slide that I enjoyed from the whole thing.
Yeah, I agree, actually. I think this one's really interesting for a couple of reasons. So there's obviously the differences across regionals. So you see, in some regions, maybe Zoom's the #1 app, whereas in others, it's Google Meet or a Microsoft Teams or something. So that dynamic is interesting. But on top of that, you'll notice certain categories have a larger share or more people searching very branded terms, so they know exactly what app they're looking for, whereas some regions or some categories, people are looking for more generic. So it presents a lot of opportunity, or kind of gives you good insight into, maybe including some of that in your ASO or in your description, or where to place more bidding or where to bid, or,
Yeah, that's so true. Like, we've been looking at the Germany market too, and you see like Teams, Zoom, and you're right, like scanner, PDF scanner. And so, some are branded, but there's a lot of generic terms. So it gives you some insight, especially if you're trying to develop, or you have an ASO or your ASO, or you're trying to develop new types of apps. It's pretty interesting to get this type of insight too. Call recorder in India. Look at that. Anyway, the other thing I want to really kind of spend a little bit of time on too is some of the macro trends we here. So this right here, people are still spending a ton of time on mobile. As much as we like to talk about, like, hey, we're too addicted to our phones, we're spending a lot of time on our phones still.
It's true. Yeah, this slide's also always one of my favorites. I think this is one that we kind of look at every year, just because it's interesting to see like how this has progressed over the years. But the short of it is that users are spending about a third of their day, which is, tremendous, on mobile or in mobile apps. So from sun up to sundown, or when people are awake, a third of that time is spent in mobile apps, whether it's shopping, whether it's checking your bank account. And interestingly, Brazil's ranking #1, but the US is, of course, up there as well in the top, growing each year, spending more time.
Wow, that's crazy. Yeah, Brazil's a really hot market. Cool. The other thing that really stood out to me, and maybe I can try to find the right slide. Well, let me hide this one. was the casual gaming market. Now, Gabrielle, I thought I've seen these, right? We had Color Switch, we had all these, like Ketchup, Voodoo doing these games, and I thought it was slowly dying. I just thought nobody was really paying hyper casual as much anymore. But you guys said differently. You guys found something different.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the
Find the
gaming market
slide.
was.
Sorry.
Sorry, you said you found that slide? Oh yeah,
Yeah, I think
exactly.
so.
This
This
is
is it.
one.
Yeah.
This slide to me is super, super interesting. First of all, it just kind of shows the evolution of, how different genres have progressed, or how they've either rose to the top or fallen over the years. And on top of that, who's lived, who's stayed, but then also what are the emerging genres. So we're seeing a lot, to your point, a lot of hyper casual growth. And people have been monetizing that as well. So some of the big breakout games, though, of course, Roblox is always a big one. And yeah, it's been a lot of growth in that industry, or sorry, in that genre, not only in the US but on a global scale.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy because you look at this. I mean, most of these icons, I'm like, they all look the same, right? That's what I noticed.
Yep,
But
in the blue.
yeah, this water sort puzzle. I know there's a couple of games out there, and I just did a video on all the Wordle clones. I don't know if you're playing Wordle, but I'm super addicted to that game. But it's been
Not yet. I'm
crazy to just see.
addicted to it. I've
Yeah.
heard too many
It's been
stories.
crazy to see all this stuff because I thought, like, honestly, I was like, there's no way this is still going on. But yet, and I got to give it out to Subway Surfers because these guys have been out for so long. They're like the dinosaurs of the app space, and yet they're still super relevant.
Consistently ranking in the top 10 in many regions. Yes, very
Yeah.
relevant.
Okay. So I know you're fascinated on the food and drink part because yeah, you said, look, hey, the pandemic, obviously we saw it grow, so it was obvious, but then it continued to sustain its growth.
Exactly. Yeah, I think there were several areas where, following the pandemic, or during the pandemic, kind of took off, of course, by nature of, being sheltering in place or having more restrictions in terms of eating out or dining, things like that, as well as shopping. That kind of, goes hand in hand here. But there was a lot of speculation, or I guess people thought that essentially this industry, or that growth that we saw, would kind of die down and would return to pre-pandemic levels. But what actually ended up happening was quite the opposite. So sessions actually is a great thing to look at when talking about food and drink. Downloads is great, but what we found is that a lot of people, once they've downloaded it, they actually ended up keeping the app. So there's a little bit less growth there, but sessions, I think, increased over 30%, which is a better metric to look at when in this industry, to kind of equate that to, a purchase or checking out. So in the US, that took off. And right now, what we're seeing is a lot of growth within rapid delivery apps. So I don't know if you've tried them yet. Getter,
I
for
have.
example, you have?
I
What
mean,
was your
is it rapid? Is it like DoorDash? Is that still considered rapid?
So a lot of the big players, DoorDash is still number one, but a lot of the big players are kind of breaking into that either through partnerships or kind of launching some of their own. So in Latin America, for example, there's a big food and drink player that kind of is testing like that 10-minute delivery. So there's a lot that goes
Yeah, I
into
saw that in this slide. Yeah,
yeah,
this one.
exactly.
Yeah,
So
that's
that's one industry that there's mixed opinions, I guess. It's growing a lot, but currently it's about like kind of figuring out how to actually, make profit off of that. Just because the model of it can be a little bit interesting. But yeah, that's one big
I will.
area growing right now, and QSRs as well, or fast food. McDonald's was, of course, ranking among the top with their delivery, and we saw that in I don't know, at least 20 of the largest regions. So those are the big
Got
things
it.
growing right now.
The
Yeah.
fact that I saw McDonald's up here, I was super shocked to see. Not surprised, but a little bit. I mean, I guess I'm a little bit surprised. I was like, "What?
Yeah, I
These guys are
know.
still killing it. That's crazy."
I know. Yeah, because you think like with fast food, especially, that it's so fast that an app would
Yeah,
almost take longer. But I don't
yeah.
know.
I'm surprised Starbucks is not up here, but yeah, I guess They don't
They
do
are.
too much delivery, right? Yeah.
Yeah, they're actually growing a lot in a lot of APAC countries
Mm,
and some regions of Europe through just some of the things that they've been doing there. They're really, focusing on growth in those regions. So actually, one interesting thing I thought is that in a couple of regions within APAC, some of the top 10, speaking of keywords, some of the top 10 most searched keywords were just simply coffee. So that's
oh, really?
again, an opportunity for Starbucks or whomever to take that and run with it in different regions.
Yeah, and I think it's good. It's important, especially in the app space, to think globally too, because I think we get too U.S. centric or Western centric in this regard when we're studying all these markets. But really, like it seems like the biggest opportunities are in like Brazil, maybe some of the APAC countries as well.
Yeah, definitely. Brazil, across Latin America, there's extreme growth,
Yeah.
not just in food or any of that stuff, but finance. That's
Oh
one of the
well.
biggest regions pushing that industry forward, or that mobile industry.
I do want to say hi to a few people that've been here. Noah, what's going on? Fam first. Who you actually weren't first. Noah was kind of first, but let's see. All right, Yash, what's how's it going? And then we got Akif and Fernando. Rassi's here. Adrian, hi team. Viva La Ukraine. I love it. And then Joe's here as always. And then Kanik. Try that. People are really testing my pronunciation skills, and I'm not very good at that. All right, where do you want to move on to next, Gabrielle? I mean, I could pick out a category that
Yeah,
I'm interested in. Okay, how about health and
let's
fitness?
health and
That
fitness.
was pretty. I have this slide right here. I'll show it to you. We
Awesome.
saw that, like the rise of Peloton stock and everybody talking about it, and now they've fallen recently. But yeah, I would love to get some insights on the health and fitness category.
Yeah. Well, on a global scale, I think it really kind of varied by region here, but
Mm,
of course, this is a quarterly breakout. So you're seeing
look
I
at
think
this.
it's Q1 or is it
Yeah,
Q2?
yeah.
Yeah,
Q1 and then Q2 just took a huge
mhm,
increase when it really
exactly.
shut down.
Exactly. So during that time, there was a lot of growth in that in health and fitness for a number of reasons. So health and fitness, of course, includes so many different types of segments, I guess. There's at-home fitness, there's, just general like sleep trackers, there's meditation, there's all those things. Some
Mm,
of the biggest things kind of pushing that forward in Q2 were meditation and wellness apps, as well as like the workout apps and like that at-home fitness, like I was mentioning. So that really pushed downloads in that quarter. In 2021, we're still seeing it, above what it was before the pandemic, but naturally a little bit less than we saw in Q2. And actually, during that time, a lot of apps, for example, Calm, they were offering free trials or just kind of,
extended, yeah,
discounted rates to
yeah.
kind of support that. So that definitely led to an increase as well.
When I see something like this, like a slide like this, where the two biggest players take up so much of the space, do you think, and
Mhm.
I know I've worked with a bunch of different meditation apps, do you think it's a category that it's like, as maybe a startup, we should still go into?
It's tough to say. So, I mean, they definitely dominate, the market within kind of the well-being or the overall mindfulness and wellness category. They pushed a lot of different marketing initiatives. Those are the first people you'll see when it comes to advertising or just being featured in the App Store as well. So it can be difficult to break in to some degree, but what we find, especially with like wellness or actually health and fitness in general, is that that industry is really the growers are often grow due to trials or different kinds of in-app purchases that essentially let users try it first. So it's really about like winning them over kind of from a loyalty perspective. So I think there's still opportunity, my personal take, but it can be tough.
Because I'm always curious to see like what. Sorry, I was going through some of the slides as well, but curious to see what we should do when we're looking at these stats. Like, should we be excited about the opportunity, or should we feel like, man, this is going to be hard because these guys are taking up so much of the market
I
space
know.
that, like, can we penetrate that and take a piece of the pie too? So, yeah, just
hmm
wanted your thoughts on that.
Exactly. Yeah, I
Or
mean, yeah.
oh yeah, you can go. Feel free. I was hoping you had something else to say after that too.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like I said, that's one area, like the in-app purchase thing, where it's a lot of trial-driven, a
Mm,
lot of trial-driven success, but also the keywords. Like, there's actually a lot. If you kind of look at the gaps in what people use in their descriptions or on their App Store page, I know that slide was kind of just a summary of the top 10 most searched
right.
keywords. But on top of that, there are ways to look at, filling in the gaps and what could be kind of bumped up. And I think that's one industry where keywords and kind of choosing the right um, ASO strategy,
Right.
you can break into it, I suppose.
I like it. Okay. I want to say hi to a few more people. Once you say hi to a few people, some people, I like the activity. I got to say hi to some people to get more activity. Wander's here. Okay. We're going to take a look at your app, I think. Romaine, how's it going? Hi from Brazil. All right. Look at that. The mobile market is really growing. We've seen that too, Wander, for a couple of years now. And to see it like really play out and continue to grow is really cool to see. And then William saying, hey, cool, really cool presentation. Dustin catching it live for the first time. And then Miguel is late, but here. Good. And then Wander said for iPhone or Android. And I think it's Android. Do you have any insights on the Brazil market? Is it primarily Android or is it primarily
Primarily
iPhone?
Android, yes.
Yeah.
Mhm,
Okay. Wander says a little bit of both, I guess. So it's good to
mhm.
see. Okay. Is there another category? Oh, can we stay on the ASO front a little bit,
Yeah.
Gabrielle? Like what? So let's stay with meditation. Like what are some opportunities? What I've noticed too is we work with a lot of meditation apps, and I'm seeing breath work being really kind of like, oh, there's that category where it's sort of in the pseudo meditation space, but at the same time, it's less competitive. And frankly, when I try to meditate every day now, but like I
Mhm,
find the breath work stuff more interesting because I'm still kind of exercising, and whereas meditation, I feel like I'm trying to like relax. Breath work, I feel like
mhm.
there's activity going on. So like I find that if I'm comparing two apps, like I'm more excited about an app that's like more focused on breath work, just because I feel like there's a little bit of space that I can wiggle into versus meditation. But what are your
Yeah.
thoughts on the ASO when we're specifically if we're talking about meditation?
Yeah, I mean, just off the top of my head, I'm sure I could dive into this a little bit deeper looking at the data, but in the health and fitness space in general, you get kind of that mix that I was talking about earlier of branded versus generic terms. Actually, this, especially medical, health and fitness, when it comes to anything like that, like breath work or meditation, people tend to type that first. Despite there being some market dominance. So that this particular segment or vertical of health and fitness, that is an opportunity in itself. You see people tend to search for example, like a pregnancy app or
Mm,
relaxation or sleep versus a specific brand name. So on the ASO front, that's like I
I
said,
see.
presents kind of the opportunity.
Yeah, one thing I noticed from an ASO front too is like, especially when it comes to dating, that the brand names have way more traffic than just a dating. Where
Mhm.
maybe, like to your point, there's certain categories within the health and fitness space that maybe meditation is just as high. Calm is probably a little bit higher if I remember
Yeah,
correctly, but there's still some room where people are actually searching for the generic term versus the branded term.
exactly. Yep.
All right, Juan, what's happening? Somebody we work with. He said, "How are sports apps growing with the sports betting now starting to be legalized?" Any insights on
Yeah.
that, Gabrielle?
Good question. In general, yes, that is one area where we're seeing a ton of growth, to the point of just different states letting that happen. So when New York did it recently, we saw a lot of those apps. I think William Hill, is it William Hill in the UK? Anyway, a lot of those apps taking off
I
after
can't
some of
remember
these.
either.
Yeah, yeah. So that's one area that's really interesting. Also, on the creative front, there's of course like the kind of letting your users try it. So you see these big advertisements of $50 on your first bet or $100, and that's a very competitive space within sports betting as well. But a lot of growth. It's going to be interesting to see how that kind of plays out as it continues to be legalized in different regions. great
Yeah, I
areas.
think it was FanDuel, DraftKings,
Mhm.
some of those bigger players were legalized in New York. California, unfortunately. You're out in California as well, right, Gabrielle?
I actually recently
Okay.
moved to Chicago.
Okay, that's what I saw on LinkedIn, but yeah, okay.
Yeah.
When we got
Yeah.
connected, she said, "Okay, that's awesome. How you liking that move?"
I like it actually. I had never been to Chicago until
Mhm.
last year in March. So around this time is the first time I ever went, and then kind of fell in love with it and decided, okay,
Nice.
this is my new city. So
I love it.
I do miss San Francisco. The Bay Area is great. Kind of miss it.
It's still cold here, so you're not missing much.
Yeah.
All right. Juan says thank you, so he seemed to enjoy that. Was there anything else that I might have missed that you wanna make sure we cover for
I'm
this presentation?
I mean, any and all of it. I'm super fascinated by, the whole industry, by data in general, of course, but,
Mhm.
especially mobile data. I think shopping was another one that was pretty
Oh, that's interesting.
interesting. Um, I guess a little bit of it was not surprising, but shopping's something that, there we're seeing a lot of that start with the metaverse stuff. So in general, I think it's kind of an interesting segment. But time spent worldwide continued to grow year over year. I think that was somewhat expected, but also took off more than what people had anticipated, just in terms of users continuing to go to mobile apps versus in store for a lot of things. And a lot of apps have kind of created this experience of, whether it's different AR or VR or whatever, to kind of create that in-store experience, and just really have advanced in terms of what they can do within an app and how efficient that process is. So that's a big reason for growth. In the US, it's mostly still users are mostly downloading apps that are US brands, whereas in a lot of other regions across the globe, we're seeing that kind of APAC headquartered brands like Shein
Yeah.
are starting to increase their market share, increase their footprint within those areas. So, yeah, for us though, most people in the US are continuing to download US headquartered or US based brands in their apps.
Yeah. I mean, I always think of this as like, we talked about this, like, this is a worldwide audience that we have, and I'm very fortunate and humbled by that. And it's like, see what's going on in other markets. And then if there's an opportunity in your particular market, your market, right? Wherever you are in the world, and maybe you can
Mhm,
leverage off of that too.
exactly.
I have to admit, I am using Shein quite a lot.
I know,
It's just,
everyone loves
it's
it.
like, it's like H&M, right? Like so cheap. And I'm like, all right, whatever. Let's
Yeah,
go.
you can get a lot of good stuff actually. That one took off. I mean, I think it surpassed Amazon at some point
Wow.
within the last year, but across a lot of regions, they ranked in the top 5, top 10 for breakout apps, which is essentially net new growth. Um, rather than like a percentage, just to kind of benchmark it. But in the US, yep, it ranked number 2 there.
Crazy.
Actually,
Is this
ac-
Amazon? This little
um,
icon down here. Sorry, number 5.
sorry, which icon? Number
Number
5.
5.
Oh,
Yeah.
no, I think that's a firm, which
Oh,
is
okay. Okay.
similar to like an Afterpay, Klarna. That
Oh.
to me is an interesting segment, actually. There was a lot of debate, I guess, on whether it was okay in some regions, and it's been getting approved in most regions at least. But
Mm.
now we're actually seeing kind of that buy now, pay later theme emerge in different areas, not just shopping. So, for example, food, back to food.
Wow.
But yeah, so yeah, it's interesting to see all these different crossovers of verticals and, um, a rise in that kind of thing.
All right, we
Have
got
you
a few
used any of
questions.
those? I have.
No, I haven't.
I've
I haven't.
seen
I
out.
haven't used any of those Afterpay type of things, but I know I was talking to a potential client of ours, like we were just talking, and he was targeting a different, I forget which market, but they were like one, like the second biggest player in that particular market. And he's like, this is the biggest player in our market, but it was the same buy now, pay a little bit later, like break up those
Yeah,
payments, things. Yeah.
yeah,
It was crazy.
yeah. It's driven a lot by, you know, here's the buzzword, but Gen Zs, just the theme of like financial flexibility, and that's something that's been adopted in a lot of these verticals. But buy now, pay later, we see that a lot
Yeah,
in
that's a
terms.
that's a trend.
Yeah.
Okay. Fernando asks, he's got a an app in the kids category. What about the kids category? Gabrielle, you have any
Yeah.
insights on that?
So kids as it relates to education or more on the gaming side? Because I think,
His, I believe, is more on the gaming side, but not like, but kids games. So part education, part, games
right.
type of thing. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think in that particular segment, I know India's off the top of my head, but
Yeah.
across a lot of regions, there was still a lot of growth in that segment or in that sector. Um, Primarily still driven by, remote learning and things like that. And then, of course, as parents are working from home, kind of on the gaming side, like keeping your kids entertained or and whatnot. But yeah, still, I would say that is one genre within gaming that also is notable in terms of its growth in the last year.
That's cool. And then Noah asks, any insights in the utilities category? They just care about their own categories.
Yeah, utilities can be pretty broad.
Yeah.
If there's anything in particular, but again, similar to what I mentioned with the kids, because there are so many kinds of apps that go into utilities, that is consistently a growing vertical when it
Yeah.
comes to mobile. So in downloads, revenue depends, but as far as downloads go, definitely growing. What within utilities?
Yeah. Let us know, Noah, in utilities. I mean, one thing I can share too is that, I mean, we noticed it, right? Top search terms, PDF scanner, and I would assume
Yeah.
that is in the utility space too. So while Noah answers our question, we'll get into, and then Fernando did say actually both. So I think he
Mhm.
gave some insights on that. Wander asked, talking about IAP subscription and ad-based apps, what's the best model when it comes to hyper casual games? Should we mix them? You have any insights on that?
I know the perfect person to answer this. My teammate Donnie. When it comes, I mean, on hyper casual, I don't know if I have the best insight on the mixture of subscription models, but
Yeah.
I can definitely look into that and get back to you.
Yeah. I mean, I think what I can say, Wonder, is probably ads. The LTV, especially on hyper casual games, is very low. And so if you model like the Voodoos of the world and Ketchups of the world, they do
Mm.
rely more heavily on ads. That's where most of their revenues. And one of the more surprising things that I still remember now, this was a couple of years ago, but I had the CRO, the chief revenue officer at Ketchup, on a podcast, and he was talking about how his banner ads towards the bottom of the games were the number two ad revenue generator. Like the revenue generator was number two, the banner ads. And I think video
Mm.
ads are probably the biggest ones. And so
Yeah,
probably relying on video ads would probably be beneficial for you, Wonder. And
yeah.
then just wanted to pull this up, this casual game market. Crazy. I always think when I first got into this space, Gabrielle was like, oh, 2013, I started making apps 2011. And I thought like maybe still crowded, but the landscape's 230 billion new apps. That's insane.
I
So
know.
it's still growing. Still growing, looks like.
Yes, definitely still growing. Yeah, it's insane. You'd think at some point it kind of slows down. I mean, downloads have slowed down a little bit, but we're still seeing a bit of an increase there. It's already so large though, but I think worldwide spend, that's the one that's the area that continues to grow. We're seeing regions that previously didn't necessarily rank that high on spend. They're taking off as well. So a lot of opportunity. I think there's about 20% growth in spend overall. And in some regions, that was like extremely driven by spend on gaming or in gaming apps. So
I like it. Okay. We do have an answer from Noah. He says browsers.
browsers. Yeah. So
A new
I don't
browser? Is that what Noah's trying to build? That's crazy.
yeah,
Sorry, go ahead.
that's an interesting one. No, I mean, I haven't looked into that particular segment of utilities in a while, but from my memory, there is a lot of growth when it comes to especially browsers that kind of block. I'm forgetting the name of them. If you can think of it, let me know.
The ad
But
blockers?
yes,
Yeah. Yeah.
block Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So that's still growing
Yeah.
for a number of reasons that um, I guess segment of browsers. And then also there is a little bit of an interesting trend, or I guess just minor trend, I would say, to watch when it comes to kind of unique browsers. So I think Ecosia is one where there's that donation aspect, or kind of that unique like social cause browser, if that makes sense. So they donate X amount of money or X amount of food as people use their browser. So we do
Yeah.
always see a little bit of growth in certain regions on those types of browsers. But I would say the one that's consistently growing is definitely like ad blockers.
Yeah, I've seen a couple of those social apps too, where it's like a bank card and then it helps you offset your carbon footprint. And so there's always around that. And then Noah did say yes, an
Oh,
ad
perfect.
blocker browser. Actually, we're spot on. We know the space, Noah. All right. Well, I think that anything else you want to cover in part one, we can hit part two now and go into some of the fun questions. I know there's a few more questions. We'll definitely get to it in part two, but I don't want to bombard Gabriel all at once. I want to change it up a little bit. You ready to move on
Oh,
to part two, Gabriel?
yeah, that sounds
Okay.
good.
All right. Well, we still have time. We have 30 minutes left. All right. Let's do that. We like to start off part two with my favorite segment, dad jokes. So, Gabriel, you're the guest. You want me to start, or you want to start?
Oh man. I'll just start because if I
Okay.
have a feeling yours will be better than mine, so we should
No,
end
I
on
don't know.
that.
I almost forgot about it. Usually I prepare the day before and I'm like, all right, I'm ready. I'm rocked and ready. Even the ones that I think I really like a lot, they tend to not fail. They tend
I
to
know.
fail on the audience. So we're gonna play
Yeah.
for something. I don't know what we're playing for, Gabriel, yet, but we'll think about it. But if you thought her joke was better, put G. If you thought my joke was better, put S. All right, the floor is yours.
Okay. Usually I'm better at making these as, in real time as they happen. Maybe I'll throw another one in later. But this one is kind of more a back of the wrapper, like a Laffy Taffy joke. But okay, you might know the answer to this. How do you make a tissue dance?
How
You
do you
put
make
a
a
little
tissue dance?
boogie in it.
All right. Did you get that? Did you get the sound effect? Is that coming through okay?
Yeah,
Okay.
that was good.
I like it. Gabriel, I'm a pro at this. Even if I knew the answer, I would not step on your joke, okay? All right, that's how you do it. All right. Gabriel, if Jesus were alive today, what kind of car would he drive?
What kind?
He would drive a Chrysler. He also had a Honda, but kept it secret, for he does not want to speak of his own accord. Okay. All right. Well,
I
put
know
G.
who I would choose.
What's that?
I said I knew who I would choose.
All right, put G if Gabriel won, and then put S if you thought I won that one. All right. Ganoke. Oh, yeah, he is here. All right. We got his app, and I will show his app right now. He sent me some things too. And so he's making me use my iPhone 13 on this live stream. I try not to use my personal phone. I have a different phone for these live streams, but the app is hired for 3 jobs. So you can use this job to send reminders, appointments, sending a text at night to be sent in the morning. Essentially, I do this sometimes. You schedule an email to be sent a little bit later. You can do that with scheduling your text on your iPhone. So that's what this app is all about.
That's awesome. First thoughts for me, I was
Yeah.
actually just thinking about this the other night
Oh, yeah.
when I was up a little bit later than I should have been probably. I was working on a project, but I was thinking, oh man, I have to tell this person this, tell this person this. I wish I could schedule a message like you can in Slack. So that's kind of crazy that we're talking about this here, but first thoughts, I love this. This is awesome.
So he says that I can promote all 3 functionalities, the reminders, the appointments, and sending a text. But is there a way I can promote all 3 functionalities with good ASO and search ads? Or is it super efficient to be counterproductive? I think, like talk to your,
Basically,
yeah. What would you
go
say?
ahead.
No, yeah, please. You're the guest.
I'm just to clarify. So basically, asking if it's like good to do a mix versus focusing on one
Yeah.
thing in particular, right?
Yeah.
I think in this case, the communication or kind of the reminder, they all kind of bundle into something similar. So I think users who might be searching for one of those functionalities might be interested in the others as well. So I think that's where it gets tricky, right? So sometimes you want to be very focused. You want to make sure that you aren't don't have too many features included in something, because it can kind of just get lost. But I think in this case, this would be something where users who are searching for one thing or interested in a certain functionality, they would kind of be interested in the other. So from an ASO perspective, I think kind of all three of those, or incorporating all that, could be good. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think, go with what the data says. If there's more traffic for scheduled text messages, for example, which he's using in his subtitle, then we go after that and really go, like, I agree with you. I think people are interested in one will be probably interested in the other two. And so just go with where the data says, like, hey, or go with where you find that, there's an opportunity. Maybe scheduled text messages is dominated by the Calms and Headspaces of the world, using the meditation philosophy, but like mindfulness or breathing exercises gives you an opportunity to get in there, and then obviously highlight the other two features too.
Yeah. And I do notice, like, just off the bat, the text scheduler, schedule text message, that kind of, I guess, repetitive text in a good way. That's always good, because, it helps on the ASO. So to your point about go with what the data says, kind of testing different keywords, testing, the description versus the what is that called right under the main title? I'm losing
The subtitle?
yeah.
Yeah.
Subtitle. Yeah, the subtitle. I think that's good.
Yeah. And I think Joe said this too. Screenshots seem quite verbose, and I kind of agree with you. I don't really enjoy the black and white text. I think it's fine here, but I think there's a better way to make it more pronounced. And it gets a little bit too crazy right here, and definitely gets a little bit too crazy over here. It's kind of hard to read and jarring on the eye.
Yeah.
And Joe says, 1 million texts scheduled worldwide seems like it should go within the olive branches on the first screenshot. Yeah. So
Yeah.
Noah asks, maybe while we're talking about this, in their title, does putting their keyword before their brand name matter with regards to ranking?
I don't know. On that, I mean, there's a lot of, I guess, speculation on how some of that stuff works. I think before, in general, this isn't quite answering the question, but having that description, kind of that text scheduler, is important to have in the title, until text becomes a household name, or kind of like the Calm thing we were talking about earlier. I think that's good, but I don't know. What are your thoughts?
I would say, like, it's hit or miss. Like, sometimes it helps, sometimes it doesn't. I think it's probably more important on Google Play. And we have tested that because Google, the SEO days, having those things like app marketing by app masters better than app masters dash app marketing. So it might, but it's not going to make a significant difference. You can test it, and then Ganoke said, no, I don't think it mattered too much. So, you haven't seen it matter too much on iOS either.
Yeah. And also, just looking at the screenshots, so at least on my phone, I have a bit of a smaller phone. I can only usually see the first screenshot and then part of the second one. So those first two are really, really important. The always including kind of like that product screenshot as it is there, that's always good. But that fourth one kind of catches the eye for me, at least, where you kind of see the product screenshot, but it still has a little bit of that text. I think that's kind of just, eye-catching, like I said. Another great way to show this, and we see this a lot within finance apps, so I think it depends a little bit, but is video as the second or even the first sometimes. That's especially when you're kind of trying to show like the different capabilities or functionalities. That's good. And with video, you can of course like capture it at a place where it's still almost an image, but yeah, that's something that we've been seeing a lot as well.
I like it. All right, shall we get into the app itself?
Yes.
Let's do it. And I'm going to open the app right here. All right, stop sending texts at inconvenient times and delay text with effects. Good. Maybe don't send that drunken text. Schedule for 24 hours later and see if I still
Yeah,
feel this way.
exactly.
Others with scheduled group text. Okay.
I like it. You never forget a birthday, right?
Yeah. I wonder if you just put on repeat. Yeah, repeating text and templates. There you go. Make life fun. I feel like, I don't know about you, but I felt like it was a little bit long on the onboarding. Like there's a couple of screens that might have taken it
Mhm.
off, but all right.
I think a skip, I don't know if there is one, is always important because not everyone, some people like to kind of just dive in and figure it out themselves. Personally, I usually go through the motions of, what is this all about? But I think just the option is always important.
This is why I don't use my normal phone. All right, let me sign in here. Okay. So after I signed in with my phone number, I was given this page. Now, do you want to say anything, Gabrielle? So this is the pricing page with premium.
Yeah, I
Right
mean,
now.
tell me if I'm wrong because I might not be able to see everything.
Yeah.
But it immediately looks like, I would say, first of all, trial is always very important.
Yeah, let's see if there is a trial.
The continue part is often, that's what I was going to say, confusing to a lot of users because they don't know that oftentimes if you click continue, it kind of just lets you go without, selecting an actual plan. But a lot of people don't necessarily know that. And so sometimes you'll see people leave an app because they're like, oh man, I don't even know if I like this app yet. So they just kind of exit. So sometimes it can result in kind of losing potential users or potential monetization or later on. But again, just those are my first two thoughts.
Yeah, I agree. Trial is going to make a huge difference
Yeah.
here. What I believe on this pricing page, so what we have seen, Canuck, is that longer pricing pages are beneficial, especially it seems like I can't, well, there's an X, I can see it, but it's up here if you guys can't tell. But what I found is longer pricing pages are more effective, especially when we're at the moment of purchasing. We want to see all the information that we need because we know that on the web, longer pricing pages convert better. I also feel like options are good, like monthly versus yearly, especially a $9.99 yearly offer. It seems like, I mean, it is a lot, right? Especially in the app space. And so I think when it comes to buying, people want options. People want too many options, but they do want the option. Right now, you're just saying, do you want to buy or do you want to leave? And without having a trial either, it makes it really hard. And I have a video on trial versus no trial that you guys can check out, but 420% increase in revenue, okay, not conversions, in revenue when we added trials to this. Because most people will buy on this onboarding page, but not having a trial is hurting your conversions.
Yeah, agreed. And I think also to your point about, the options and of course trialing. So back to utilities apps. So with PDF apps, for example, it's important to have different options in terms of like paying for one time, paying for 3 times use based versus, just weekly or other things like that. So time based and use based, it can depend on the category or segment. And then within health and fitness, another example, just to kind of show the different spectrums here. But health and fitness, you see a lot of weekly trials, you see a lot of 3-month and of course annual, monthly. Those naturally go up in January, but the ones that end up working out the most are annual and monthly for that specific vertical. But again, picture-based apps or scanner-based apps are things that people might be doing just one time, creating a video or something. That's always important to do, like a per download or per use, I guess, as an app option. And then, of course, your time-based options.
I like that because we actually had somebody in a previous live stream. I forget if it was last week or the week before, but he was talking about how he tested that and he had a per use model and he just found that it was working off better. It was like a tutoring app and he found that students don't want subscription, but they want a per use model. And so we were pushing him on subscription to try it, but he's like, look, I did test it, but I like that. I want to be proven wrong all the time. So I love that.
And that makes sense actually for tutoring too, because you know, it's like a certain class and you're like, okay, I'm designating this amount of time. It's almost like I'm paying this amount for each time versus, I don't know. That's how I would think of it too. I guess what I'm trying to say.
So he does have this. He said, Canuck says 3 versus 5 slide funnel drop off was almost none. So that's good. I said it was too long. I was wrong. Very bleak. The X is on top, and then most users click on more options, billing options, and pick a weekly. So absolutely, I'm going to try a trial. Okay, if you know that, right? If you have that stat that most people are clicking the more options, they want to test it out. Maybe they're going into the plus. Oh, here we go.
So was that off the initial page?
Yeah, so I clicked here. It was very, oops, you can't see it right here. So here underneath the continue, more billing options.
Oh, I see.
And then I guess people are selecting based off of what they want here. And then when I hit one of these options, and then I'm presented with all this stuff. So these don't even look like they have trials either. I don't think. Yeah. Do you think the trials will help you? So something to test. Yeah. We are even testing like 2-week trials because we've seen certain clients do pretty well with 2-week trials in certain categories. So it all depends. Let's schedule a text. Oh, phew. I'm glad nothing came up.
I think it's not in the same vertical, but one great example of an app that had tremendous success via trials and then ended up monetizing basically all their users was Pixart. So that, for a while, I don't know if it still is was in 2021, but that was the #1 photo video app. And consistently had, 5-star ratings or near there. So they offer a long trial, and then essentially I converted. I bought an annual pass. I don't do that with anything. So it's kind of funny, but they had a lot of success monetizing their user base via a trial. And
was it Pixar? Was that what you said? Pixar?
Pixart.
Oh, Pixart. Got it. Yeah. All right, I put in my number, but I wanted to test this, just go through the flow. So wishing you a happy birthday. And then we're gonna pretend it's today, and then I'll text you in a couple of minutes. So let's see what happens.
Cool. I like the time zone thing. That's good.
Will be sent from a number you own. Let's get your number. Oh, I thought I gave you my number. Maybe it's because I'm on demo account that I have to pick my own number. I don't know what happened.
Oh, this reminds me of like, oh, interesting.
Yeah. So let me know, Connect, if this is because I'm on a trial or like, your sample number that you sent me versus my own number. Okay. Oh, otherwise it looks pretty good. I just wanted to go through that process. The other thing I always like to check out is that second open. Okay. So it looks like we get 5, get more. Okay. You can do here. So I'll do like that. Cool. What I've been promoting, Gabrielle, is like, hey, if I'm opening for the second time, you might want to just throw up that review prompt for me to get more App Store reviews, because it's a dated stat, but I saw some stat back in the day where only like 25% of your first opens come back for the second open. So I was like, that's a lot. That's a tiny amount. Only a quarter of my first time opens come back the second time. They must like me enough to get them to do a review font. So that's why I've been saying like, maybe put it on the second open, because I tried putting it on the first open for one of my apps, and I saw a couple of 1-star reviews. It wasn't many. It was like 2 1-star reviews of people being like, I can't use the app without reviewing it. So this app sucks.
Yeah.
I got those, and I took it away from the first open.
Yeah. That I agree. I think it's important to, once people open it the second time, you already know they want to use the app, but people can be, they don't tend to like being prompted for reviews.
Yeah. Okay.
It's a continuous prompt.
Joe says, I suggest better continuity with your app UI, especially illustrations. All right. And I'll let you read that, Canuck, on that. You can't send from your own app due to Apple security restrictions. So it's either a random number or you get a number from your app. Well, that's kind of stinky. Gabrielle won't know it's from me. Oh. Yeah. All right. That kind of sucks, but I know that's a restriction on Apple's side, not your side, Canuck. All right. Well, if you have anything else, put it in the comments in terms of like what you want to see. But I think that was pretty indicative. Looks really good. I think everything else looks pretty good from the app itself.
Mhm.
All right, Gabrielle. So we did have a question, and I don't know if this is appropriate. So let's take a look at round one. Hope you have another joke because it's only 2-1. Come on, guys, more votes, please. Canuck said me. Joe,
Yeah.
you traitor, gave you the vote, and then Noah gave me the vote. So right now, I would like more votes, but I won the first round. And then
Woohoo.
Wasim asks, what about video downloaders? Have you noticed anything on your side about video downloaders?
Video
That kind of go.
downloaders.
These are like you can download videos from YouTube. Is essentially
Okay,
usually those apps, type of apps.
I see. I don't know on that one actually. Some of these segments, things I haven't touched on in a minute. I like these. Makes me think.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm also not too sure on that one. I know there was an app that took off for a while. They were at some point removed from the App Store in the last month or two, but they were some sort of video downloader that allowed people to also kind of evade, different YouTube premium
Yeah.
restrictions or whatnot. So I'm not too sure on that one. I'll have to get back to you on these questions actually, so you can, share it next week or something.
We'll have you back. All right. The Canuck says, thank you so much. Greatly appreciate all the feedback. So good. I'm glad. Hopefully that helped. That's always what we're trying to do. All right, Dean, I picked out this app because he's got pretty good downloads already, 1,000,000 plus. It's doing pretty well. So he wants feedback on ASO and store listing primarily. Oh, Gabriel, you have, we can go around too. Do you have another joke that you can pull out?
I do not, but if I think of
Okay.
one
All right.
within the next segment.
Let me give you one more.
Okay.
All right. Gabriel, 6:30 is the best time on the clock. Hands down. All right. There you go.
You've got
You think of
2
one.
real laughs so far, so.
You're too polite. I appreciate it. All right. So here we go. The Wanderer. Anything on the ASO front that you see on your end? I can't see I'll try to pull up their short description as well.
It's a
Sensor
little
tower.
small for me personally.
Okay,
Just
let
like
me pull it up.
visually.
I know this is there. I'll give you the title first.
You think these glasses would work better, but turns out. On the ASO front, okay. So this is, if you want to scroll through.
Oh, sure. Yeah. Sorry. So here I have their. Maybe this is easier too. So we have the short description. This is through Sensor Tower. That way we can see some of the things that I can see the short description. Save the post-apocalyptic wasteland and see how many days you last. So here, let me go back here. I'll do a better thing. We have.
Okay.
What do you want? You want to see long description? What do you want to see?
No, this is great. Yeah, I just was checking. Cool.
Yeah, so I can lead it off to the survival project. I don't know what keywords you're going after, Dean. Maybe it is survival or project survival. Let me see the survival. I don't know if
Like
that
the
has a
video
lot of.
first.
Yeah, I
Then
think
you
the video would
automatically
be
know how
good.
the gameplay would go. I like that.
I have no idea what is the primary keyword you're actually trying to go after. So that is what, maybe it's the Wanderer, and then that's it, right? Like, and that's what you're trying to do. Is it RPG, right? Like, so what is it that you're trying? It looks like RPG, survival, RPG survival game. So if that's the case, then maybe go after that. And then I'll do a better job because we have Gabriel here. Throw up data AI's listing. So we have the title here. We have your app description. We have your screenshots. And then what I typically like to do, and I use you guys all the time for this, is look at the keywords for you and then even put in your competitors, because it's a great way to do keyword research. Unlike any other tools out there, data AI will actually give you the keywords of your competitors, what they rank for, what they rank really well for. So it looks like you're doing pretty well for the Wanderer.
Yeah.
Apocalyptic Army Clash. So doing pretty well. Wandering number 3, Sheltered. I think the RPG is the one thing that I think you're missing from this
Yeah.
as well. and I don't think you're using it in your subtitle. Your subtitle, your short description, survive the post. I can't say this word. Help me,
I know.
Gabrielle.
I saw that one too. There are a couple words for me, and that's one of them that I just
Yeah, wasteland.
today there have been a lot of them, but
And see how many days you can last. So your short description doesn't have a lot of good ASO keywords. I don't know if apocalyptic is a good keyword, but definitely do some keyword research and see if that is something that has search volume. It looks like you're ranking pretty well for it. You're number 1 for it, but I don't know if it has any type of volume that you want to go after. I know RPG definitely has a lot of volume, but maybe like what I tend to like to do is go RPG and then games, or maybe even RPG with station. You can see that, or survival. Okay, so RPG survival games, which maybe is the main keyword that you want to go after. Start thinking about using that in your short description and even in your title, rather than just having project survival.
Yeah, I just did a quick little search, specifically just, the keyword apocalyptic. Yes, I got it.
Yes.
I wasn't sure how that was going to go. Yeah, it's pretty low search volume. It's somewhere under 10, at least today in the US.
Okay.
On iPhone though, so maybe it's different on Google Play.
Since you have the data, are you able to pull like RPG survival or survival RPG?
Yeah, let's do it. Real time.
Look at that. We're getting inside secrets, ladies and gentlemen.
RPG. Yeah, that's pretty good. It has a good opportunity score. Search volume somewhere around 60. So,
nice.
Yeah.
All right, there you go. So that's what we would be changing.
A bit more on that could be good.
Yeah, RPG survival instead of project survival, and then change your short description around. The last thing I'll say as well is that long description, what we have noticed is try to use H2 tags. It doesn't make a huge difference. It's kind of like, putting it the left versus the right. We haven't noticed a huge difference yet, but I would try to use a lot more H2 tags, especially if you're trying to go after RPG survival game. Maybe put that around an H2 tag and make it bold. I don't know what are these. Let's take a look. These might be H2 tags already. He's been following our stuff. Nope, it's not. So try an H2 tag around some of these key phrases like RPG survival game, right?
Mm-hmm.
Other than that, looks pretty good. Should we try to play the game for a little bit? Are you good on time? Do you have to run? I know we're over time.
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, here, let's take one last look at the game. See if there's anything. Unfortunately, because there's an iOS version, so I could have gotten that, but he only sent me the Android version, so I'll use the Android. Okay, go. That's a good spot for an ad. I like that. Loading page, throw up an ad. Perfect.
Yep. Agreed.
I wonder if people have ever done like loading ads, kind of like a pre-roll YouTube type of thing. That'd be interesting. I don't have one. Sorry, I'm trying to get to the game. All right, while I do this, I don't want to bore you. Is there anything I might have missed, Gabrielle, that you want to make sure we cover from the marketing insights or anything related to data AI?
I mean, there's so much that we covered. I think we talked about my favorite ones or favorite segments. I know I shouldn't have favorites, but I do. No, I mean, I guess there's so much. I guess there were a few industries, or not industries, but that didn't bounce back as strong or didn't see that like continued growth, whereas most did. Travel was one of them, probably to no surprise, but there have always been, different verticals, different like micromobility or things like that kind of grew within. So since travel and navigation is such a big category encompassing so many things, there's a lot that goes into it. But that said, we are seeing, in the last quarter or two, a lot of growth within airlines, which is promising. So that was interesting. I know also there was that supply demand dynamic of like rider driver apps like Uber or Lyft. For a while, there was a huge deficit in terms of like the supply side. So just less drivers than there were riders, but we're seeing that kind of start to close the gap a little bit. Still a bit of a gap there in terms of supply, but that's good. So yeah, that was the only one that didn't, or not the only one, but one major area that is slower to kind of bounce back. But yeah.
Well, the good news is, if there's something that we might have missed from this, go download the report. I got it, right? It's all right here. If you go to data.ai, go under the reports, you can find all the latest and greatest that they have. They've done a really good job in terms of consolidating. They got a lot of big name clients in there and a lot of data. And so it's not just like opinions, which sometimes some of that stuff that I say is based on, but there's a lot of data that goes into putting a report like extensive as this one right here. So good news. Things are continually growing.
Yeah, exactly. Really, they are. Mobile is taking off. But stateofmobile2022.com, I think, is the fastest way to get to that report.
Oh, I love it. Okay, so State of Mobile 2022.com.
Yep. I believe it.
There it is. State of Mobile 2022.com. Gabrielle, the last thing I wanted to talk about with you was there was one more question I had. When we see a report like this where we see apps continue to grow, right? You're like, hey, new apps, people are downloading still. Do you see because I've been doing this personally where I've been deleting a lot of apps I don't use as much. So do you see people are trying out apps, but they're very picky in the ones that they choose to keep on their phone?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like it can go both ways. But in terms of deleting apps, a lot of people, if they're not using an app or, if they didn't like it, they tend to remove that app from their phone. So I guess the question was around new installs or just generally retention
around retention.
Yeah. I would agree with that. Typically people tend to delete it if they're not using it, but the good thing is, if you're looking at, downloads, then that that's a true download and people are actually probably actively using it and they're coming back. That's okay too. But yeah, people tend to kind of drop off. If they drop off, they drop the app off their phone. Was that a dad joke? No.
Yeah. Once again, it is stateofmobile2022.com. Go check it out. Stateofmobile2022.com. Covered a few of the insights, but there's a lot more that we were not able to cover in this 1 hour session. And once again, if you guys want to learn more about ASO or just some of the marketing insights that they have on their end, just sign up for the free plan that I'm on right now, but they've got a lot of great tools. If you want to ever upgrade, it is data.ai, formerly at Banny, but data.ai is the website as well. Gabrielle, if the audience wants to connect with you in any other way, do you want to send them anywhere else?
Sure. Yeah, feel free to reach out to me on LinkedIn or I guess through you.
Okay. I'll be your gatekeeper. Right? You're not important enough. Awesome. Well, Gabrielle's LinkedIn is put into the YouTube description. So if you want to connect with her and say thank you for coming on, like I'm about to do now, you can do that by clicking on the link. Gabrielle, thank you so much for spending an hour plus with us today.
Yeah. Thank you for having me. This was great.
Thank you guys for watching. We'll be back next week to talk all about our favorite topic, ASO, and then how do we really optimize our in-app purchases. We haven't covered that as much. We've been talking about title, short description, subtitle, all that stuff, and keyword optimization. But we're going to talk about in-app optimization. So tune in next week, every Friday, 9 a.m. Pacific. Gabrielle, thank you so much for your dad joke, and thank you guys for watching. Have a great weekend. We'll see you next week. Bye.
Bye.